Very good evening, friends. Today we are going to start with new philosophy from third year syllabus, that is the Stuart Close Philosophy. There are 5 chapters for third year syllabus. It starts with chapter number 7 that we are going to learn in today's session, that is susceptibility, reaction and immunity. The another chapter in syllabus was chapter number 10, indisposition and second best remedy. The third one is the chapter number 8, homeopathic posology. Then the chapter number 14, potentiation and infinite symbol dose. And last, that is the chapter number 15, the drug potential. So all those chapters are there for third year syllabus, and we're going to learn which have a very significant value in practice. So it will be not only useful for the students, but those chapters are very useful for the practice, and one must learn, one must go through this, because the concepts which he has explained over there in these 5 chapters are very, very clear, and because of which the concept of posology becomes very clear in our thoughts and mind. So we'll start first with this chapter, the susceptibility, reaction and immunity. He has written it in a very specific manner. That first he has explained about the susceptibility, reaction and immunity. Then he turns towards the posology. So first, to understand what is necessary is the susceptibility, and the concept which Stuart Close has put forward and defined the susceptibility is rather different. In fact, rather different means he has elaborated it in a proper manner. So we'll start with the chapter, that is chapter number 7 from Stuart Close Philosophy, the susceptibility, reaction and immunity. By susceptibility, we mean the general quality or capability of living organism of receiving the impressions and the power to react to stimuli. This is the definition of susceptibility as done by Stuart Close. The 4 words which he has added over there, 3 words, that is the of receiving the impression, that is not generally considered in the definition, but this is very important. One must receive the impression, then reaction starts. Without impression, never reaction is never there, and that's why the way he defined is very clear. And for the students, this is an MCQ. Define the susceptibility as per Stuart Close, and this definition you have to write over there. Susceptibility is one of the fundamental attributes of the life. Upon it depends all functioning, all vital processes, physiological and pathological. Digestion, assimilation, nutrition, repair, secretion, excretion, metabolism, catabolism, as well as the disease processes arising from the infection or contagion depend upon the power of organism to react to specific stimuli. So, the human physiology is also depend upon it, and human pathology is also depend upon the susceptibility. How it maintains the health? How the susceptibility maintains the health? That is the question. The susceptibility plays very vital role in order to maintain the health. If someone is cleaning the surface over there and there is little bit dust over there and you are sitting over there, immediately as the dust starts entering in your body, you are susceptible, you get the impression, and within a fraction of second you get a sneeze. Instantaneous reaction given by your susceptibility, and because of which you have survived from the dust entering into your body. So because of which you are remaining in the state of health. By accident, you touched very hot surface and suddenly reflex action comes, and because of which you are survived from the burns and your health is maintained. See, health is restored at all level with the help of the susceptibility. But at the same time, if this susceptibility is altered, if it goes high or if it depresses, it reflects in the form of disease. If the person is idiosyncratic or having very high susceptibility, those persons react to a very small stimuli and they get affected. The higher susceptibility is responsible to produce the disease. At the same time, lower susceptibility is also responsible to produce the disease. So susceptibility plays the role in maintaining the health. At the same time, in order to produce the disease, and at the same time, if you want to recover from those susceptible disease states, again this same susceptibility works under the influence of homeopathic remedy. So it has a role in the state of health, in the state of disease, as well as in the state of cure. And then what he says, the cure and alleviation of the diseases depends upon the same power of organism to react to the impression of the curative remedy. So it has wide range and wide role in the state maintaining the health, producing the disease, at the same time curing the disease. When we give a drug to a healthy person for the purpose of making homeopathic proving or test, the train of symptoms which follows represents the reaction of susceptible organism to the specific irritant or stimulus administered. So if you are proving homeopathic remedy, you have given that remedy in potentized form to the prover, and that prover started getting the symptoms. Train of symptoms means sequentially the patient is or the prover is suffering or he is expressing the symptoms over there. That is what is called as train of symptoms. Whatever the dose which you have given is the dynamic stimulus. It is not the medicine which is given in crude form to produce its primary action. Whatever you have given is the dynamic stimulus, and because you are susceptible or that prover is susceptible, he receives that impression and starts reacting to it, and you start getting the subjective as well as objective symptoms, more commonly the subjective one. When a homeopathically selected medicine is administered to the sick person, the disappearance of symptoms and restoration of the patient to the health represents the reaction of susceptible organism to the impression of curative remedy. And in the similar manner, if you use homeopathic remedy to a patient on the basis of law of similars in the same potentized form, it also produces the similar type of reaction. The person is already in a higher susceptible state as he is in disease. You give that remedy in high potency, 1 or 2 doses, and just that impression immediately that gets impressed and your body starts reacting. It starts showing the artificial disease symptoms similar to those of natural disease symptoms, and you get little bit homeopathic aggravation, and it is only because that patient is having a higher susceptibility. The homeopathic aggravation or slight intensification of the symptoms which sometimes follows an administration of curative remedy is merely the reaction of the organism, previously perhaps inactive or acting improperly because of lower susceptibility, as it responds gently stimulating the action of the medicine. As a piece of machinery in which the bearings have become dry and rusty from the disuse, creaks means which a crackling sound, कर असा आवाज येणं. Creaks and groans म्हणजे कण्णे. Creaks and groans when it is again started up into action. So the diseased, congested, sluggish organs of the body sometimes squeak and groan. Squeak is again producing crackling sound, कर आवाज येणे. Sometimes squeak and groan when they begin to respond to the action of curative remedy. All this and much more is included in Hahnemann's doctrine of vitality under the Newtonian principle of mutual action. Action and reactions are equal and opposite. Restated in medical terms by Hahnemann as similia similibus curantia and employed by him as the law of therapeutic medication. So see what he explains over there, that this susceptibility works on the principle of Newton's third law of motion, and that is nothing but the action and reactions are equal and opposite. So whenever you give a remedy to the patient depending upon law of similars, it produced an immediate reaction to it because the stimulus is dynamic. And because of that dynamic stimulus, when it is getting impressed over there, immediately body or your vital force starts reacting, producing the futures and starts showing some reaction, either aggravation, slight intensification of the original symptoms, or if it is perfectly matched, the disappearance of the symptoms under the action of curative remedy. So these reactions are again based upon the susceptibility and Newton's third law of motion, or which is also called as law of mutual action. Again, for the students of third year or fourth year, this is 2 marks question. What is law of mutual action? 2 marks question. It is simple. Just write it down. Action and reactions are equal and opposite, and you get the 2 marks for the MCQ. It is understood that the action and reactions in a medical and physiological sense takes place only in the living organism, and that it depends upon the fundamental quality and attribute of life, which we call susceptibility. So this action and reaction happens only in living things, and these are things which react in this manner, and this is the fundamental quality of the living things, that they receive the impression and they react, that to which we call by the name of susceptibility. We shall see that the kind and degree of reaction to the medicines depends upon degree of susceptibility of the patient, and that the kind and degree of susceptibility in any particular case or patient depends largely upon how the case is handled by the physician, for it is in his power to modify susceptibility. Indeed, this power to modify the susceptibility is the basis of art of physician. So what he is explaining? He is explaining over there the role of susceptibility when you choose a medicine, and he says over there that degree of reaction to the medicine depends upon the degree of susceptibility. Higher the susceptibility, higher will be the reaction. Higher the susceptibility, higher should be the dose and less repetition. Lower the susceptibility, low should be dose, repeat till the susceptibility gets aroused. This is simple law, one must keep it in your mind. Whenever you are using remedy in acute states or acute disorders, where the susceptibility is always high, think of the high potency, but minimum repetition, few doses, and that's all. That's what you have to stop over there. If indeed this power to modify susceptibility is the basis of art of the physician, and this is very important thing. If susceptibility is very high, you match the remedy at a higher level, and because of which the susceptibility gets modified and it comes to the normal. Bringing the susceptibility to the normal is the main aim of the homeopathic physician. Otherwise, person will react in an exaggerated way again and again and suffers from the disease. So, modifying the susceptibility is the aim of an art of homeopathic physician. If the physician knows how to modify the susceptibility in such a way as to satisfy the requirements of the sick organism and bring about true cure, then he is a physician indeed, since cure consists simply in satisfying the morbid susceptibility of the organism and putting an end to the influx of disease producing causes. To accomplish this, he must know that susceptibility implies and includes affinity, attraction, desire, hunger, need, and that these all exist and express themselves normally as states and conditions in every living being, but that they may become morbid and perverted and so cause disease, suffering, and death. He knows also that susceptibility implies the existence of the wherewithal to satisfy the susceptibility, to supply the need, the hunger, the desire, the affinity, the attraction, and he knows how and where to find the necessary modifying agent. See, now he started explaining about the susceptibility. The physician who knows and who judges the susceptibility on the basis of that, then he knows how to judge whether susceptibility is high, whether the susceptibility is low, or whether it is normal or morbid, whether it is morbid or healthy. That you have to look for, and accordingly he can suggest the thing. So what the points which he has mentioned over there, to accomplish this he must know the susceptibility implies and includes first the affinity. Where is the affinity? What is the attraction? What is the desire? How is the anger? What is the need? All those points which are very, very important in order to judge the susceptibility, at the same time to modify the susceptibility. Every remedy has its specific affinity. For example, the lycopodium has a right-sided affinity. The lycus is having left-sided affinity. The lycus is having very typical affinity of towards the throat. So every remedy has its own specific affinity, its own attraction, its own desires. So lachesis persons craves the cold drinks, whereas they gets aggravated by the hot drinks. Whereas the things are rather different with arsenic. Hunger is one of the important thing which expresses how is the susceptibility and how to modify that. Sometimes the patients are too hungry. The children, when you observe over there, they are quite hungry and canine hunger is there. Sometimes there is absolutely no hunger. So these are the points which one must look for when you think about the susceptibility. These are the points with which he knows how and where to find the necessary modifying agent, how to adjust the diet, how to modify the hunger, all those things which you have to look for. It is a well-known fact that living organism is much more susceptible to the homogeneous or similar stimuli than to heterogeneous or dissimilar stimuli. And this is very, very clear. If you give a right remedy, homogeneous stimuli, person is already susceptible and reacts instantaneously. But if you give heterogenic, means allopathic drugs, the reactions are not so instantaneous. The susceptibility towards the allopathic medicine is not so strong as we get it in homeopathic remedy. Throughout the entire vegetable and animal kingdom, we find the law of development and growth to be like appropriating life. Organisms and organs select elements most similar to their own element. The same law holds good in excretion, each organ excreting and throwing up elements analogous to those of its own basic nature. So here he is explaining the susceptibility in relation with the physiological processes. He starts explaining about the role of susceptibility, specifically in the persons which are in the process of development and growth. Depending upon it, the growth as well as development of the human being depends. It depends upon how the susceptibility is there. If susceptibility is too high, sometimes there will be a disturbance in the development and growth of the patient. The children who used to succumb to the different infections because of very high susceptibility, and they again and again gets affected because of disease. Unless and until you modified this susceptibility, their growth never comes out. They never becomes normal in weight and appearance. So you have to look for that. Then one more thing which he explains over there, that functions of each and every organ also depends upon the susceptibility of an individual. The person is susceptible, that's why normal functioning or physiological process of like excretion, like digestion, like assimilation, all are maintained. So susceptibility plays very vital role over there. So it is in satisfying the morbid susceptibility which constitute disease. As hunger demands food, so disease demands medicine. But demand is always consistent with the universal law. It is for the symptomatically similar medicine because that is the only thing that really satisfies the susceptibility. So here he explains very clearly about the susceptibility. Whenever the person feels hungry, he needs the food. It satisfies his need and person becomes happy. The same is true when the person is in state of higher susceptibility and suffers from disease. It can be only modified with the help of proper homeopathic medicine. If you give a very perfect similimum, then during that phase, person is highly susceptible, catches that remedy very easily in high potency, and dose required is 1 or 2. It never requires repetition over there. This morbid susceptibility, which constitute disease, may exist towards several different medicines. The degree of susceptibility to each depending upon the degree of symptom similarity, but the highest degree of susceptibility exists towards the most similar, the simillimum or the equal. Hence, a given patient may be cured of his disease homeopathically by either of two methods, by giving several more or less similar medicines in succession, or by giving one exactly similar medicine, the simillimum or equal. It depends upon whether he is being treated by a bungler or an expert. The bungler may zigzag his patient along through a protracted illness and finally get him well, whereas an expert would cure him by the straight route with the single remedy in the half of the time. So he is explaining over there very clearly regarding the thing. First important thing he explains, the susceptibility is high, you get very clear totality. And if the totality is clear, you can find it out very right remedy. And person is very susceptible to the perfect simillimum. There is no repetition, needed a repetition, and person will react and get cured immediately. But if you don't get a proper remedy, it is a partial simillimum, it is not from the hand of expert physician, then there might be a partial simillimum which acts, then there will be a certain reaction, some symptoms disappear, some remains, some new appears. Again, you have to form the new totality, again you have to give the remedy. If it is perfect, then it works, otherwise again the same thing you have to follow, which is called as the zigzag cure. And because here the susceptibility, because of the susceptibility, the person is reacting, but you are not able to catch that exact totality and match the remedy to that case. And this is what he wants to explain over there, that if remedy is very perfect, then the deceased person is so susceptible to catch that and immediately gets cured out of it. And we'll finish one more paragraph and then we'll start. The sick organism being so much more susceptible to the similar medicine than the well organism, it follows that the size or quantity of the dose depends upon degree of susceptibility of the patient. A dose that would produce no perceptible effect upon well person may cause dangerous or distressing aggravation in sick person, just as a single ray of light will cause excruciating pain in inflamed retina, which in its healthy condition would welcome the full light of the day. So during the disease state, the susceptibility is generally very high. So your remedy, you never want to repeat again. If susceptibility is already high during disease state and you have got very perfect remedy, then one or two doses are sufficient. No need to give a full repetition of the remedy. So higher the susceptibility, higher the potency, less is the repetition. And this law you must fixed in your mind so that you can handle many such types of cases. So we'll stop over here regarding this, because this is the chapter which we have to learn, and with this chapter the posology becomes very easy to understand. So concept becomes more and more clear when we learn the Stuart Close philosophy, and specifically those chapters, all 5 chapters in third year syllabus are more practical. So thank you being there, and we'll meet tomorrow and continue with the same.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.